Hello everyone, welcome to GoTarryn TV. I'm Dr. T, PhD, the prodigy of sports psychology, here welcoming back another wonderful guest back here on today's show. One of my very favorite guests, Ms. Natalie Joel. Now before Natalie rejoins us back here on GoTarryn TV, I'd like to ask everyone out there if you please be so kind as to like this video, leave us a comment, and share it with all of your friends and family out there. Now, last time we had Natalie on here, we were just kind of checking in, seeing how everything's going among the whole pandemic and how her coaching business is doing. So we're just going to kind of do a follow-up and check in and just see how everything is and just kind of hear some of her success stories that she always continues to share with us. And she's one of the very best, and I can't get over how much wonderful work she does for all of her clients out there and all the great messages that she shares with us right here on our video blog. So it's always a pleasure and a treat. The half hour will always fly right by, as it always does with Natalie, and so I'm looking forward to talking to her right here on GoTarryn TV momentarily. And remember, with GoTarryn Health and Fitness, it's your time, it's your investment, it's your life. We'll be right back. Ms. Natalie Joel returning. Natalie, how are you doing out there today?
Very well, thanks. How are you?
Good, thank you. And as always, welcome back. It's always great to have you back here. And wanted to bring you on today. We haven't chatted yet since last month. So first question, just how's everything been? How's family and how's personal and business life going for you?
Good, and with you?
Very good, thank you. Yeah, I mean, here, I don't know if how much it's different down there, but since you and I last spoke, it's kind of weird. This whole new variant, I guess it's called Delta, has kind of taken over. And so we kind of, as a both state here in Georgia, where I'm at, as well as the country, the United States, it seems like we're regressing in some ways. I'm sure you've probably heard from Malcolm and Lynette, like masks have returned, restrictions are tighter, businesses even are closing. And so that's what's going on right here, right now, unfortunately, as we record this. But how about down there? I'm just kind of curious.
Well, we've had the Delta variant now for a couple months.
Okay.
And from what I have noticed, I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but from my personal experience, from what I can see, it's virulent. Mm-hmm. It's exceptionally contagious, but it doesn't seem to, thank God, be killing as many people as the other variants were.
Oh.
So people are getting sick, and it's different symptoms. Beforehand, like when I had it last year, it was dizziness. It was just feeling awful and various things. And this one is, seems to be starting up. Everyone I've spoken to is with a major headache or a major migraine.
Oh, wow.
So it's quite different to the other one, the other variants. But it is quite extremely infectious, extremely. Mm-hmm. But the good news is that those people who have been vaccinated, they are not getting it as badly. If they do get it, they do get it. It's like if you get a flu injection, you can get flu. It's another type of thing. But so those people who do get it, it's not many, but there are, they don't seem to be having it as terribly as those who are not vaccinated.
Interesting. That makes sense. And, you know, the other thing, too, you mentioned about vaccinations. So that's been a very big, hot topic and politically divisive subject here in this country, for example, that people who are vaccinated are really getting angry at those who have not been vaccinated and kind of saying, you guys are holding it back for us from, I guess, reaching herd immunity or what have you. So it looks like the people who have gotten vaccinated and the people who haven't gotten vaccinated, they're really very, very divided and politically angry at each other. And so I don't know. What's your take on that? Is it like that down there, or is it just something that's only here?
It is a little bit. Fortunately, it's not a political issue at the moment. Things can change.
Sure.
But there are people who are anti-vaxxers, and you say to them, why? And they say they don't know what's in it. And you can say to them, but do you know what was in your last antibiotics that you had? And they'll say, no. So what's the difference? But it is often people say, oh, he doesn't do it and he doesn't do it, so I'm not going to do it. But a lot of people haven't thought it through. They just say, I'm not being vaccinated. And when I have asked some people, have you had the polio vaccine? Have you had the TB vaccination? Have you had measles? They say, yes. I say, well, what's the difference? So that's I'm not a doctor, but those are my thoughts on the matter. But anything that can help us save lives. So it might not be a problem to you. You may be fit and healthy and fit in totally in the parameters that is not going to die, because it seems to be that if a person's very low in vitamin D, if a person is very overweight or has certain comorbidities, they are unfortunately more likely to be worse hit, because this virus seems to know exactly the person's weak points and attacking those weak points. So you might be as fit as a fiddle, as healthy as can be. You can get it and not have the vaccination, and you can pass it on to somebody who's not as well as you, not as healthy as you, and they can die. I don't want that responsibility on my head.
Yeah, good point. Yeah. And, that's a good transition, Natalie, because, there's not a better reason to be more fit and avoid obesity and just get the entire body in optimal health and wellness, which you've obviously done with your incredible journey and your success stories that you've shared here. So there's another success story I wanted to ask you about, and we ought to have her on here, your friend from Canada. Can you kind of delve into that, please? I'm just kind of curious because some of the stats that you were telling me about heart function and such from what she was able to do, it just sounded pretty incredible.
Okay, so I don't know the full proper story, but Jackie is a fit young lady, and she's always had certain heart issues because of her circumstances, but they were never treated. And 2 years ago, she wasn't feeling at all well, from what I can understand. And she went to the clinics and the doctors. She never saw a cardiologist. Wow. And they said to her that she had 15%, because in Canada you don't have private healthcare. Right. 15% heart function. Oh, wow. And they told her she was going to need a new heart. And they told her they'll call her to come back in a week or two. And months went by, nothing happened. And she's a very strong person, and she said, I'm taking control for myself. And she started investigating it all. And she spoke to a lot of cardiologists in other countries, and they advised her what to do. And she took back her health, and she took back her life. Oh. And she changed her way of eating, which is, unfortunately, what we eat is what we are. Yes. I used to think it was a stupid statement, but unfortunately it's been proven to be true. Right. That if you're eating junk, you're going to have junk issues in your body. It's true. And she sorted out her issues. She became very healthy in her eating. She did exercise. She was always into exercising, and she now is a top-notch. She's got top-notch knowledge on cardiology and all that thing, and she actually runs a business helping people who have health issues with hearts. And she sounds like she's doing very well, and she's really sorted out her. She saved her own life. Let's put it that way. She no longer has 15% function. She's got her heart back. She's got her life back. Oh, she took her life in her hands, and she did it herself.
That's amazing. How did you and Jackie meet each other?
We met through mutual friends on a group.
Oh, neat. Yeah. That's so empowering, because you could kind of relate to what she went through in a different way, right? I mean, in terms of you can do it yourself. You know how some people say, I'm not strong enough to do it, I don't have the willpower. What do you say to those people that just say that some people, I hear it a lot as a personal trainer. You hear people like, I was born this way and there's nothing I can do about it. What's kind of your, kind of a suggestion, advice on those when you hear statements like that?
Okay, so the most important thing people need to realize is it's all in the mind. And if we can get our mind right, we can do anything. I can or I cannot. They're both right. It's up to you. I can do it or I can't do it. It's your choice. I will never be an Olympic runner. If I want to, I can run around the block slowly, but it's still running. I go to boxing classes. I'm way one of the lowest in the class, but I'm still ahead of everybody else who doesn't go.
Cool. Yeah, right, exactly. That's right.
So other people can jump onto the box, and I do other little things. Yep. But I'm doing it. Right. And you say, I can't do anything. Well, what can you do? Can you walk to the corner of your block where you live? Start with that. No one's telling you that you have to run marathons or ultra marathons when you start. The important thing is that first step. You do that little bit every day or every 2 or 3 times a week, and you will be amazed after a few months of how you have progressed. Mm-hmm. And as I say, it's all in the mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm so fascinated with that topic too, Natalie, because that's why I went back to school several years ago, was to study the psychology of exercise, which I've been doing for the last 3 years now in all of research and writing and just everything that I'm looking up. So, for example, a lot of people basically feel like the psychology is much harder for some people if they're not intrinsically motivated. Just to give you, like, for an example, some people have a higher intrinsic motivation than others. We know that because some of us are more independent, some of us have a higher autonomy. So for the people who, Natalie, are, let's say they have a very low intrinsic motivation and are motivated by external forces rather, by someone else or maybe environmentally, what kinds of things can you maybe interpret from that with someone who just needs that encouragement or that relatedness or that kind of outside help? Like, what's some of the things that you might suggest for them if they just need some kind of help from the outside forces?
Okay, I can give you one example.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, I used to be XXX large,
mm-hmm.
and I battled up to find clothing to fit me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I always wish that I used to walk past clothing stores and see these beautiful outfits in the window. And
mm-hmm.
one day, in fact, this one here that I'm wearing today, I saw in the window of a shop, and I walked in and I said, I want to try on that dress. And they said, okay. And it fitted. It was even a couple of years now that I've been the right weight that I want to be. It's still exciting and thrilling to me that I can look at the window, say, I want that outfit, and they don't look at me and say, sorry, ma'am, we don't keep your size, which is very embarrassing. I don't get that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But you can walk in and say, oh, yes, we've got this in your size. Come along, let me show you the railings. So that could be motivating, for example, for a lady who says, I can't do anything.
I like that example.
I want to be able to get something. Don't buy it because that is too overkill. To have something there that is smaller than your size, it can be very demotivating in a way because you can think, I'll never get there. Right. But if you think, I can look in the shop window and I'll be able to buy a pair of whatever it is, pair of jeans, top, shoes, whatever, you can know that's something to work for. That is a good motivating situation. Or for a man, you would be the one who would know what to do for a man. But there are things that you can think of. I want to be able to go out with my friends and not have to look for a place where they don't have arms on the chairs, for example. That is something that many people like me had a problem with because you go somewhere, and actually I'm sitting on a chair now, realizing it's got arms. 7 years ago, these chairs would have been impossible for me to get into.
Wow.
But now it's not even an issue. So that could be a motivating thing. I want to be able to climb stairs. I want to be able to just take something small that other people take for granted, but to you is a big deal. You don't have to tell anybody because you don't need to put pressure on yourself. But in your own mind, you can say every day, am I a step closer to fitting in a chair? Am I a step closer to going on the plane and not having to have extra seat belts that will fit over my tummy? Little things that to everybody else is nothing. To people who are overweight and obese, they are major hurdles and major trauma issues. So just to think of something small, I want to be able to go into the shop and to the store and whatever, be able to fit in certain aisles which you couldn't fit in beforehand, like the turnstiles. I want to aim to be able to fit through the turnstile. See, you're thinking, what? Can't fit through the turnstile? Yes, if you're very overweight or obese, you cannot. I want to be able to go into my shower forward. I don't want to have to go in sideways.
All very good examples, Natalie. You're right. And again, there's so much psychology there because for one hand, you have positive reinforcement, meaning that they can look forward to goals and then be rewarded positively for those goals. And on the other hand, you touched on that too with the negative punishment is what it's called in psychology, that if they, let's say, are still obese and don't lose weight, then there are negative hurdles and challenges that they have to continue to face, and that's certainly tough because in this country where I'm at in the United States, we are one of the most obese countries in the world. I mean, far beyond most other countries in terms of population. And in fact, I'll share with you the latest statistic that I had researched for my own dissertation for my school was that we were over 40% obese in this country right now in the year 2021, according to the Centers for Disease Control's. And so that is progressively in the last 50 years in this country just continued to just rise, and it will only continue to increase too. What about down in South Africa? Are you familiar, Natalie, with how it is in terms of the general population comparatively? Like, how does obesity and overweight kind of fare down where you're at, in that area?
In the middle and upper class society, people who have got jobs, people who have nice homes. Let's say we've got a very big poverty-stricken, unfortunately, a very big poor, below poor, very, very poor group of people in this country.
Yeah.
Cross-racial, cross-cultural.
Sure.
It doesn't belong to any particular cultural, racial, or religious group. It just there is, unfortunately.
Absolutely.
So if you don't take those people who, unfortunately, they've got no choice. There is, especially amongst the children, you don't see that many thin children. It seems to be more in the children now, in the teenagers, that they are getting more and more overweight. And it's because the food they're eating all the quick foods, the cereals, the breads, the rolls, the pastas, the burgers, all those type of things. They're not having sit down. What I can see, could be, they're not having wholesome breakfasts and wholesome lunches and suppers, dinners. And that's I think is the big thing throughout the world, that everybody's in a rush and everybody doesn't want to cook. And that's the thing with keto, with Banting, with low carb, is that one has to start enjoying cooking, because you cannot rely on what you're buying in the shops, because the food is not good for one. Most of the food has got additives, it's got preservatives, it's got sugars and all those things, seed oils that are not good for us, that cause us issues. So if you want to have a certain way of eating, you're going to have to start cooking yourself. And that on itself, by cutting out the processed foods and the sugars, a person will lose weight. So by not having those foods, you've more of a chance of losing some of that obesity than eating lesser amounts of the breads and the pastas and the noodles and the fruit juices and all that things.
Yeah, good point.
It's worldwide, I think.
It really is. You're right. Yeah, and it is a problem, certainly here in this country too, where I'm at, with the poverty and lower income levels that rely on what we have, like McDonald's and fast food restaurants, like burgers and fries, and it's cheaper and they can afford it. And so the general, I guess, misconception is that it's harder and more expensive to eat healthier. And I guess that's not necessarily always fair or true for people to generalize.
Yeah, unfortunately, it is. If you think of a burger that you say is cheap that the very poor people can have,
right?
A roll, pasta, a packet of pasta can serve the family.
Exactly. Good point.
But you get a bowl of salad of vegetables. It's not cheap.
Yeah,
so
that's
is
true.
A problem, because the grains are sponsored, the food there is sponsored by the government. What's the word I'm looking for? It's not sponsored, it's
subsidized.
Subsidized, yes. But vegetables are not, and meat is not.
Good point.
So that is the problem, that unless you grow your own, and then you have to have the garden space or the space at home to have containers to grow the vegetables, you can't get away with it does cost more. But then on the other hand, you reverse your diabetes and your other issues go away, so you don't have those doctor's bills. But then if you've got medical insurance, then I suppose it doesn't matter.
Wow. And you and me and so many others that really take health and wellness so much seriously, we think about those things, that there's no better investment than our own physical health, right? I mean, when you talk to people, and You try to convince them, like, what is more important than your health? If you don't have your health, then what do you have? So I guess we could start with that. And you mentioned it a few minutes ago too, Natalie, the children, the teenagers, adolescents. So the problem, I guess the reason why we've seen the uptick and spike increase of obesity and overweight everywhere in the world is that it's just a vicious cycle that the parents are unfortunately doing this with the kids, and then their kids will do it with their children and so forth. So what do you think in terms of how do we stop this, not even from a big global way of looking at it, but even in a small, focused way of our community? How can we kind of get this cycle to stop and at the very least maintain or even reverse that trend? What would be some of the things that parents could do, right now with their children and their kids a little better of?
Well, I personally, as I say, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical specialist, so I can't talk on that side of things. Mm-hmm. But I think it's very, very difficult to stop children, because if you think about it, sugar is an addiction. And when you eat the sugar and the processed food turns into sugar in the body and it lights up the hypothalamus, and you get that same drug feeling like if you're on drugs.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
That, how do you say to them, no, my darling, you're not having your Cocoa Pops or whatever it is for breakfast. We're going to have fried eggs. And they're going to look at you and they say, I don't want fried eggs. I want that sugar-flavored cereals.
Yep.
And so unless you start with them as babies, and you also have to, you can't go and have your adult version of your sugar-flavored cereals if they're not allowed to have it. So they have to see that the parents are doing the same as them, because if the parents are not doing the same as them, you can't expect them to start changing their ways without having the whole family doing it. So it's a very, very difficult problem that the world is facing, because parents come home, especially now, I'm sure America's the same, everybody is extremely stressed, everybody is extremely tense and worrying what's going to happen. Are their jobs going to last? Are they not going to last? Are businesses going to close? They haven't got time to think, what should I make for breakfast? What would be nice for lunch? What should I give my children that will be nourishing and healthy for them? Rather just, here's this, just pop this on the stove, put this in the microwave. And that's the easiest. And then there's no stress and there's no worry about getting the food done. And that is what we have to overcome. But it's a major issue. I don't know how to solve it.
Yeah, well, you definitely said it right, that it does have to start from the very beginning. They're just so impressionable, and we all are. Like, we start from an early age, and that's, like you said at the very beginning of the interview, what we eat is what we will become, truly, and that's very, very true. And then on the flip side, of course, is the exercise as well, which you've really taken off on. And so kind of just asking you right now, Natalie, what workouts, how have they been going? Any new exercises, different types of workouts? I know, you're doing the different types of, fitness and such. What has your schedule been looking like with regards to your exercise program lately?
Oh, well, firstly, the gyms were closed for a few weeks. We had extreme lockdown with this melting.
I didn't realize that. Wow.
And they opened again, yeah. So it's back to swimming, back to boxing. And in boxing, we've got now cardio as well. So it's good.
Oh, that's great. That's really, really good. And, you'd mentioned, too, about things closing down and businesses and such. Same thing with here, too. I guess with this whole Delta variant, and I'm hearing now there's other variants, Gamma, Lambda, and some others. Where do you think we are? Do you think we're done with this? You think we're not? You think this is just the beginning? Where are we headed right now with this whole thing? Because I keep hearing conflicting things. You turn on the news, you get one thing, and then you get a 180-degree opposite viewpoint. Does anybody really know, do you think? Or
I don't think so. You see countries who have no restrictions, they have the same path as those who are extremely restricted. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I do think that the more people who are vaccinated, the less terrible it will be. It will be like, as you say, you have the flu injection. We have the flu injection here in beginning of winter so if we get flu, we don't have it so badly. So we do get flu, but we don't get it as terribly. So my personal feeling is that if everybody has the vaccination, that if they do get it, it'll be like a case of flu, because it is the COVID is very similar. It's like a type of a flu, from what I can see from a lot of people. So if one has been vaccinated, then the flu won't be as bad. So.
No, that's good. Yeah. Hopefully.
I really hope,
Yeah, yeah, you're right. You just will really have to see how that goes. With your vaccine, Natalie, I know that was very challenging because you stood in line for multiple hours. Do you know if there's what's called a booster? Are you going to have to do a supplemental shot on top of that, or is that too early to tell?
I would like to have it, just as with the flu. So I mean, keep going back to the flu thing. Every year we have this booster,
Uh-huh, right.
but they've only just started doing the 50s and over.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
No,
I
wait
did
a
not
second, we
know.
said the 39 to 50.
Okay, okay.
39 to 50. So
Interesting.
the
Okay.
next group after that will be the 18 to 35.
Oh, really?
35.
Okay.
Yeah. So I
Okay.
think once that's all been done, and also there are many more places opening up
Good.
that people can go to, so that the queues are not like they were in the beginning.
Oh,
People
good. Okay.
staying in
Yeah.
line for so long. There are a lot of um, in organizations that are helping. There are two Jewish organizations that have opened up to everybody. There's a
Wow.
Muslim organization that's opened up to everybody. I'm sure there are other religious groups that are also, but in various areas, anybody can go. They know in
Huh.
certain areas you can go. They're open as long as one is registered for the vaccine. You can go to any of the places that have been opened up. And as I say, there are a lot of private places who are going up and not charging. If a person has medical insurance, there are places that they can go. They actually walk in and out.
Mm-hmm.
Then they can claim, the medical companies can claim it back, the vaccination costs. But it seems to be going a lot smoother, from what I can
Oh,
understand.
thank goodness. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. And that's wonderful, Natalie. And in terms of your own business too, how's the coaching life been? How's it been working with others as well?
From what I can hear from a lot of people, things are a lot quieter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But is it because it's very cold and people don't want to stir themselves? Or is it, and people are also very frightened. A lot of people haven't been out for a year and a half, which is,
Mm-hmm.
to me, a major problem. A
Good
major
point.
problem. What's
Yeah.
going to happen when they hit the airways?
Oh, right.
The
Mm-hmm.
airwaves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but hopefully, things are always up and down, and hopefully they'll continue being up.
Yeah, they will. You're right. Yeah, it's always good. You're so positive all the time on everything. And what does the rest of the year look like for you, Natalie, in terms of goal planning, objectives, things that you need to get accomplished? What's that looking like for the rest of this year for you for 2021?
Well, I'm loving my coaching. I really enjoy the satisfaction
Mm-hmm.
of people's like light bulb moments saying, this actually works. I
Mm-hmm.
can actually do this,
Mm-hmm.
that I
Good.
love. So
Good.
hopefully we'll get lots of those coming along and just continue.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's
And with
wonderful.
you,
Yeah.
how's it going?
Same, what you just said a few minutes ago. It's definitely slowed down here in this country, and I think that see, we're the opposite. Everybody's complaining it's too hot to exercise because we're just the opposite of you. So there's always going to be some kind of
Always something.
right, exactly. But who knows? Maybe when things get back to a little bit of normalcy, once they kind of do away with the masks again, and if the business is all reopened back up with less restrictions, and we're hopefully able to get over this whole COVID thing, then who knows? Maybe things will get back to somewhat normal. For us, schools just restarted here, and they're definitely having a big trouble and problems with that because a lot of challenges. Some schools want the kids to wear masks, others don't. Some schools want to do virtual learning. Some schools saying no, they need to be in live. And unfortunately, the big problem, as I mentioned, is just a total big political divide between what we have here between Republicans, Democrats, or another conservatives versus liberals. It's just so 50-50, like black and white. There is no compromise. They're dug their heels in the sand on each side, and they're just fighting here, and it's just unbelievable on every single issue: vaccine, masks, distancing, virtual schools, etc. So hate to see that, but unfortunately that's the way we are right now. And but I don't know, I think maybe I'm like you. I think I'm hopefully optimistic that things will turn around and get better.
Great.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah, we have to keep that positive energy. Well, Natalie, like I said, it's always a pleasure. 30 minutes just flies by so quickly with you. Before we let you go, though, last couple of questions here, please. Can you go ahead and let people know how they can reach you directly, how they can get in contact if they want to do coaching with you, and if they have any other questions, how can they best reach you, please?
Sure, they can get me on my Facebook page, Living Keto with Nat, or Natalie Joel. I'm on Instagram, Living Life with Nats. And they can email me, livingketowithnat@gmail.com.
Perfect. Excellent. And as always, it's been such a pleasure with you. And we'll get that on the screen as we fade to black here. But Natalie, I want to say have a great rest of your day. As you're later on, you're 6 hours ahead of me. So I'm just getting started here where I'm at right now. And again, I can't thank you enough. Let's do this next month, please, and check back in and continue on. Keep up the great work you're doing. Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.